Montana has no new cases of COVID-19 to report today. The number of active cases is down to 22. The number of confirmed cases remains at 458. 6 people are hospitalized and 420 Montanans have recovered. Good evening, I'm Tim McGonigal. We're glad to have you with us tonight. Governor Steve Bullock says thousands of Montanans are applying for new emergency grants aimed at helping those hit hardest by COVID-19. And some have already been approved for assistance. Earlier this week, Bullock announced 9 new grant programs with up to $123 million available to individuals, businesses, and organizations. The money comes from the Federal CARES Act. Bullock said during a news conference today the 2,000 applications were started within 15 minutes of the filing window opening. 5,500 small businesses in the state have applied for just one of the programs, a stabilization grant for those that have lost revenue. 150 have been approved for funding.
It's clear from the thousands of businesses applying for one program alone that Montana and Montana businesses need support getting through this difficult time. The agencies operating these grant programs have enlisted additional staff to review applications and get the funds out as quickly as possible.
One of the grant programs offers funding for local and tribal health agencies for COVID-19 response, including expanded contact tracing. Bullock said half of Montana's reported cases have been found through contact tracing. 41 agencies have already applied for the funding. Well, today marks day 63 of the Blackfeet tribe's stay-at-home order. They're waiting to remind people that all restrictions still stay the same, wanting to remind people all restrictions stay the same, and they're asking people to wear a mask when in public. The tribe was recently approved for over $30 million from the federal government as part of coronavirus funding. We spoke with James McNeely, the public information officer of the tribe, who says the money will be going to COVID-19 prevention.
And that would be, making sure that we have adequate testing supplies, personal protective equipment, and other things related to this outbreak. And we'll get a more definite plan put in place here as we go along.
And overall, Montana tribes will be receiving more than $172 million from the federal government. Well, the 2 methods to determine whether one specific person has or had COVID-19 is through a nasal swab test or through a blood test to determine if the person is carrying the antibodies for the virus. But what about the community as a whole? One way the city of Helena is testing for COVID-19 is by looking at wastewater. MTN's Sam Hoyle has more.
When you use the bathroom, it's easy. You take care of your business, you flush, wash your hands, and walk away. But behind the scenes, the wastewater the city of Helena is producing is being tested for COVID-19. Though the test isn't the end-all, be-all of determining factors for showing whether COVID-19 is in a community, according to Disease Control and Prevention Administrator for Lewis and Clark County, Eric Merchant, it's a good start.
If we're seeing 0 tests come back positive, and we don't see it in the city or in the wastewater, that's fantastic. That's fantastic data. That's what we're seeing right now. If we do start to see it, then we can make that decision. Hey, it's important that we draw back right now because we're starting to see this disease. And it's just one of many indicators.
But how does it work? Wastewater goes to the treatment facility, and then from there, a sample of the water is taken approximately every hour by this machine right outside the intake, and then is sent off to BioBot, a company that specializes in wastewater epidemiology, which is defined by the Center for Disease Control as the method used to find the causes of health outcomes and diseases in populations. So BioBot can screen the sample for COVID-19. As of right now, the city of Helena has sent off 3 samples to BioBot and received results for 2 which show no presence of COVID-19 in the wastewater, but that's only half of the data, as results from the test only show the city of Helena, which accounts for approximately 46% of the residents in Lewis and Clark County. Another issue is funding. Right now, the tests are being covered by a grant through the end of May. After that, each test will cost $1,200, and though the money hasn't been budgeted yet, if the data being provided is worth the cost, Mark Fitzwater, the supervisor for the wastewater treatment plant in Helena, said they'll find the money.
If we think it's worthwhile, we will continue with the samples and we'll find the money somehow, but as far as sampling weekly, we're not sure yet.
Though the test can show the presence of COVID-19 in a certain community, it's not a hyper-focused test, which is why it's just one of the many criteria moving forward for Lewis and Clark County.
There's too many factors there to really use it as a laser strategy, like focus in on something. We're using it more as that population indicator, overall public health tool for evaluating this.
In Helena, Sam Hoyle, MTN News.
Well, linemen continue to work to restore power to several areas north of Geyser. According to Fergus Electric Cooperative, 18 poles broke overnight Wednesday thanks to snow and heavy winds in the area. Fergus General Manager Scott Sweeney said that his crews worked until almost midnight last night and they were back working early again this morning. Sweeney expects the remaining power outages to be fixed by the end of the night tonight.
We had 18 poles break off north of Geyser, and we got half of them replaced yesterday, and we got, maybe a third of the people northeast of Geyser back in power, and we've got 8 linemen up there this morning, and they should have that repaired by dark tonight. They should have their power back on.
And they ask that if you do see a down power line, stay away from it because it could still be running electricity. Well, rain cleared out early in the day yesterday, but it's come back once again today. Brandon Michaels joins us now. Brandon, you're still tracking some showers and storms this evening. Yeah,
a pretty good line of rain is set up kind of right across north central Montana right now. We'll take a look at the Doppler network to start things off here this evening. Showers and probably some thunderstorms embedded in there too, mainly to the east of Great Falls there. And then the heaviest rain is actually falling in Phillips and Valley counties. That is going to be pushing toward the Glasgow area fairly soon. So a good portion of those areas getting some decent rain. We'll kind of zoom out a little bit. We don't really see too much behind that main line in general. That's what we're focused on right now. That's where the heaviest rain is going to be. And we have picked up some pretty good routes of rain so far today. Again, that heaviest rain hasn't pushed into places like Glasgow as of yet, but it will soon. But 1/3 of an inch in Great Falls, not too much in Helena, just a couple of showers earlier in the day. Same with places like Havre and Cutbank and Lewistown. Looking outside in Helena, still pretty gloomy out there, although we have seen some peaks of sunshine through the day. North wind at 6 miles per hour behind a cold front and 58 degrees. So it is still a little on the chilly side. Great Falls looking pretty gloomy too. Still a little bit of water on the roadways there. 49, so pretty chilly in Great Falls right now. Good news, nicer weather in the forecast to start the weekend, and we're going to talk about that later in the show.
All right, thanks, Brandon. Well, Smoked American Barbecue in Great Falls was ahead of the game when it came to stopping their dine-in food services back in March. Even then, they knew that shifting to a takeout only during a global pandemic would be a tough road. MTN's Matt Holzaffel checked in with them to see how things are going.
We want to survive, and we want to be here when it's done. I'll be honest, it was phenomenal. You know, the local support was great. We always do a good lunch crowd, but we started seeing a lot of new faces.
Trevor Kavanaugh and the other workers at Smoked American Barbecue weren't exactly sure how business would be during the coronavirus pandemic.
Yeah, we're selling out every day. There's certain days where we're over 500 pounds of meat a day.
Even with business going well, staying afloat is harder than normal.
We didn't raise our prices on anything, and prices have definitely gone up. Beef prices are going through the roof, so it's pretty unfair to the local producers. But our costs were up by about $10,000 over a normal month last month.
That includes the price of meat, but also sanitation supplies and personal protective equipment like masks and gloves. As they try to return to a sense of normalcy, Trevor said he understands things might not be the same for a while.
We're keeping it in the same fashion. You know, I feel that there's a large segment of the population that's very uneasy being in with a large crowd.
The way they do business may change in the long term, but the one thing that won't change is the value of community support.
It's unbelievable. I mean, you always felt that there was a community feel downtown, and the people who work downtown always supported you. But what we started seeing was people who'd never been in the restaurant before and coming in to buy something, not necessarily because they felt like they needed to eat barbecue, but because they felt like they wanted to support a restaurant.
In Great Falls, Matt Holzaffel, MTN News.
Trevor says they have added some socially distanced outdoor seating as well as hand sanitizing stations. Well, as summer approaches, some are turning to a more socially distant way to take their planned family vacations. Sales of RVs and motorhomes have been rising steadily since shelter-in-place measures started. Dealers say they can provide families with a safe way to get away. Many have their own kitchens and bathrooms. The low price of gas is also giving the RV industry a boost. Still, potential RVers will want to do their research before hitting the road. Different states have different rules about camping and RV parks. Montana's primary ballots are in the mail. Before you fill yours out, we have a look at the Republican hopefuls for Montana's lone U.S. House seat.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. The 5:30 news continues on Montana's News Leader.
Welcome back. This week, as part of MTN's series on contested statewide primary election races, we're examining the crowded field vying for Montana's open U.S. House seat. Today, Chief Political Reporter Mike Dennison gives us a closer look at the Republicans running for this seat, all 6 of them.
Montana's only U.S. House seat is open because incumbent Republican Greg Gianforte is running for governor. 6 Republicans are trying to succeed him, and the one to beat in the June 2nd primary is State Auditor and Insurance Commissioner Matt Rosendale. Rosendale has raised $1.3 million in campaign funds, far more than any other Republican. He's been endorsed by President Trump, and he's already running TV ads touting that endorsement and his conservative credentials. Rosendale says while the coronavirus has shut down traditional campaigning, he's been busy doing the job of auditor, overseeing health insurers during the crisis.
I am thoroughly convinced that as long as I do a good job at the office that the people of Montana elected me for, that they will continue to give me the support that they have previously and push me forward as the nominee for United States Congress.
But his primary opponents note that Rosendale lost the 2018 race to Democratic U.S. Senator John Tester despite a Trump endorsement, and say he's not the best GOP bet to retain this seat. Secretary of State Corey Stapleton hopes his status as a statewide office holder and military veteran could propel him to victory.
In times of trouble, I think that people look for someone who's stable and someone who served before. And military veterans listening to this will understand this, that I'm just trying to hold out to people that what I bring to this is experience, stability.
And farmer rancher Joe Dooling of Helena says he's been campaigning hard and stressing that he has a down-home Montana appeal that others can't match.
If I'm elected, you guys are my bosses, and I want my boss to call me if he has an issue. So I put my number out there 100 times. Just give me a jingle and you'll catch me in the tractor.
The other GOP candidates for House are former State Republican Party Chair Deborah Lamb, National Guard vet and former teacher Mark McGinley, and electrician John Ivankovich of Butte. Lamb calls herself the grassroots candidate and says gender won't be an issue if she's the Republican opposing the likely Democratic nominee, Kathleen Williams. McGinley is waging a strong social media campaign, emphasizing a resume he says can resonate with voters as a counselor at the Youth Challenge program in Dillon, his work in prison ministry, and his military record. Ivankovich's campaign has been minimal, but says he can help bring organized labor into the Republican fold. Yet for any Republican candidate not named Rosendale, the question is whether they can overcome the power of name recognition, big-time endorsements, and money. Is Rosendale the best bet for Republicans to hold on to this seat? Or might someone else emerge from this 6-way scrum and win the primary? GOP voters start deciding this weekend when mail ballots go out. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Well, we are tracking some nicer weather to start the weekend, but it's actually going to get pretty chilly from there. We'll have the forecast up next.
Thanks. Now, here's your Storm Tracker weather forecast with meteorologist Brandon Michaels.
Well, rain once again back in our forecast. It's starting to work its way out of north central Montana now, but many of us are still dealing with it. Big area of low pressure swinging through. It's going to move away from us, though, as we head through the night tonight and allow some nicer conditions to move in. But for the time being, let's try to advance our graphics and see if they're frozen or not. I'll be right back, folks. Let's see if we can get this back online. Show you what we're trying to see here. You know, maybe not. There we go. All right, here's the state of Montana. We're looking at that heaviest rain now, mostly in the northeast, but places like Lewistown also seeing some showers here. Heaviest rain is going to be into Phillips and Valley County. Again, that continues to push off to the southeast, so places like Glasgow are going to be getting into that fairly soon, approaching, of course, then Fort Peck Lake fairly soon as well. So some heavier downpours are embedded in that line. Future Track doing a fairly good job of that. I think it might be a little bit on the slow side. I think we're probably going to start to see rain toward the Glasgow area earlier than 9 p.m., but in general, most of the activity by then is going to be off into northeastern Montana. Looking at about midnight, places like Great Falls and Helena are pretty much done with this completely, and we're actually starting to see some clearing off to the north. Cloud cover to start our day off, but by the afternoon, we're going to get into some more sunshine, with maybe the exception of some areas to the north. So in general, a nicer day is expected for our Saturday. Couple of showers popping up in mainly northeast Montana on Saturday. Most of us are going to stay dry and nice and sunny. And then I do think we're actually going to get into a little bit more cloud cover as we head into Sunday, probably more than what Future Track is showing here. It's going to be, I think, a mostly cloudy day to close out the weekend. Now, the weekend forecast, as far as the sunshine is looking better, the temperatures are going to be looking better as well. Helena's actually not too bad right now. You guys are at 58 degrees, 62 in Jordan, 59 in Glasgow, but we've got some cooler spots where that rain has pushed in and where that cold front has already passed. 40s in Cutbank and also in Great Falls. Overnight lows tonight, some of us falling to about the freezing point. Fortunately, the rain and showers will be pretty much wound down by then, so we're not really expecting anything in the way of snow. Through the day tomorrow, temperatures are going to be climbing a little bit more than they did today, but not by much. You can see temperatures are kind of struggling once again to warm up into the afternoon. Mainly 50s and 60s for highs across the state tomorrow. 60 in Jordan, 62 in Helena, 60 in Havre. Great Falls coming in at about 58 degrees for the high temperature tomorrow, and actually looks like we cool down from there as we head into the day on Sunday. Couple spots, Lewistown, Hayes, high temperatures, Cutbank as well, high temperatures only in the 40s, so actually fairly chilly for this time of year. Winds are going to be breezy as that front works its way through northeastern Montana tonight. We're probably seeing some increased winds right now because of that, but in general through the day on Saturday and through the day on Sunday, not all that worried about wind. It's going to be the chillier temperatures that we're going to be looking at going forward that are a little bit more concerning. So let's go through the 7-day forecast right now. Mostly sunny, 58 degrees for your high temperature tomorrow, so not bad in Great Falls. We do cool down significantly on Sunday. More clouds are rolling in, and we're going to stick with those clouds for quite some time. 52 and mostly cloudy on Monday. High temperature Tuesday, only 48 degrees. A couple of showers are going to be possible then as well. And on Wednesday, looks like we get into some nicer weather as we close out the forecast. Temperatures jumping back into the 60s. Again, tomorrow in Helena, nice, sunny, 62 degrees. That's not too bad, but those clouds roll in for Sunday. We cool down a little bit. And again, we've got additional chances for rain, and we keep the cooler temperatures through the forecast until we get to Thursday and Friday. Tim?
Ahead, shining a light on an atypical senior year, how one community is honoring their graduates.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. The 5:30 news continues on Montana's news leader.
Well, the COVID-19 pandemic has wiped out many milestones for the high school class of 2020, and in Browning, the school district is doing something fun to help lift spirits. Staff, parents, and school board members spent 2 full days spray painting the name of all 130 seniors onto the field at Arrowhead Stadium. Tonight, they'll turn the field lights on at 7 p.m. and invite students and community members to drive by and cheer for the accomplishments of the class of 2020.
Our thought behind it was just to be able to show our seniors that we are thinking about them and that we're proud of each and every one of them and we care about them. We're just continuing to try to keep our morale up with our graduating seniors and keep a smile on their faces.
Those lights will go on at 7 p.m. tonight. We'll show you images from Browning during our 10 o'clock news. Well, anyone who's attended a vigilante parade in Helena knows that social distancing just isn't feasible. But even though the parade was canceled this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, dozens of Helena teens honored the yearly tradition today with a vigilante cruise. MTN's John Riley has more.
Helena High and Capitol High students worked through a downpour Friday morning to get their vehicles ready for the vigilante cruise. The cruise was a citizen-organized event that allowed students to participate and honored the canceled Vigilante Day Parade while still social distancing. Even through the rain, students had nothing but positive attitudes.
I think it's really cool. Like, I remember last year I was really wanting to do an actual vigilante float this year, and we couldn't because of the whole corona thing. So I called up some friends of mine and then we got this set up, and it isn't much, but it's a lot of fun.
I think we would have done a float if for the actual parade. So being able to do something for the cruise is cool.
The cruise ran through Last Chance Gulch, then past the Capitol building to St. Peter's Health. It ended with a drive by Touchmark and Hunters Point retirement communities. Most vehicles had signs celebrating the schools and students. Decorations tended to have a humorous theme, with many including toilet paper. Students participating said more than anything, it was just nice to do something to honor the tradition and celebrate the community and their schools.
My family has always gone to watch the Vigilante Parade, so we were pretty disappointed when we weren't going to have it this year, but it's exciting.
This is so fun. Like, yeah. I'm so glad that we could come out here and represent the barbecue club. And because it's been a while.
So for the most part, we just got basically like Go Bruin stuff. We got a little bit of teacher appreciation and stuff like that, you know, because we do miss our teachers a lot, even if a lot of people say they don't.
Reporting from Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
And we'll have a final check of weather when we come back.
Welcome back. Looking at the weekend forecast, Helena, a pretty good shot to get above 60 degrees, so definitely warmer tomorrow under mostly sunny skies. We do see that cool down by Sunday. Great Falls is going to be even cooler by Sunday. Your temperature on for the second half of the weekend, 51 degrees.
Well, thanks to the change in daily routines, more people are giving makeup the brush off. One report shows that sales were down 14% in the first quarter of the year. More people are working from home, so they're not applying makeup before going into the office like they used to. Face masks are also leading to the decline. One beauty company reported that people are less interested in lipstick. It's not all bad news for the beauty business, though. Do-it-yourself hair color and nail polish sales have boomed. People are also spending more on skincare products. People like us, Brandon, we unfortunately need makeup.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, especially me. If I don't...
Oh, I need it too, trust me.
And even then, it doesn't help me all that much. All right. That's all the time we have. Have a great night. We'll see you again.